Right there, welcome back to the channel. It is 3 a.m. here, just got back in. Went to the comedy store tonight, hang out with Ian Edwards, saw some good acts, got some scran, and back home now. For you guys, this has come out about lunchtime. But I wanted to do 5 things. There was a bit of an issue yesterday with the sound on the video that I uploaded. I didn't have a chance to review it. I didn't realise how bad the stadium announcement sounded, so I do apologise for that going out in the manner that I did yesterday. I had to cut it short because of the music coming on, and I knew there was going to be no opportunity from us doing that then to be able to get a review out if I didn't do it the way I did it. So not the best content I've uploaded, but trying to get it with a live and direct reaction straight after the game. Now, from what I can gather, the injured players, and no one seemed to mention Amass, so I'm hoping that means that he's actually not injured. But he did look like he was hurt going off the pitch. I'm hoping that there's not too much of a drama with him, but everyone that we spoke to kind of seemed to be going, when talking about Euro and talking about Rasmus Højlund. And that's a bad one for us, I think. So injury bug has already started to come back around for United on it. Obviously, we saw Amass hobbling, but like I said, nobody mentioned him in the post-match, so I'm hoping that he's fine and, it was just one of those, a little bit of a knock in the game. But Højlund and Euro coming off the way they did, we don't know what the severity is going to be. From what I can gather, chat to people around the team tonight, just a few hours ago, whenever it was, it's hard work trying to explain for everyone back home in it, but essentially, Sunday they'll be going for a scan. And as soon as they've got the results of that scan, they'll know what the injury situation is going to be. But there weren't many people hopeful of them seeing the start of the season. We can't afford a run of the injuries that we had last year. It absolutely killed us. A lot of people talking about the hybrid grass, which didn't look the best quality. But on one hand, yes, probably was a factor, somewhat. Arsenal didn't leave the pitch with half a dozen injuries, did they? It was only United that did. So on one hand, yeah, I think it's a valid concern and a valid excuse maybe. But Arsenal didn't suffer the same fate. So on one hand, yes. On the other hand, not so much. Secondly, Mason Mount. I actually thought Mason was probably the brightest player for United, at least anyway. He was tenacious on and off the ball. I really want to see him getting a 90 in slightly better circumstances. The pace of these preseason games just isn't quite there, I don't think. But Mason did look good. He was dynamic. He was front foot. He helped the press. United looked like they're pressing in a 4-2-4 kind of shape, which is very interesting. Will we start to see the value of him this season? I think Mason can be a really, really important player for United. I don't necessarily know where he fits into this system. Very interesting to see where that is. If he's going to be a permanent starter, or is he going to be like I always say that you need 15, 16 players for your starting 11. Now, obviously that doesn't go, but when you think about the injuries, which are inevitable, suspensions, form, I think you need 16 players that you can rely on to be first choice. And I think Mason Mount can be one of those. And he'll probably end up playing 35, 40 games, no matter what. So I think we will see the value of him this season. But I thought he was really, really good against Arsenal, regardless of, however the result went, which wasn't really down to him anyway. After Mason, is Harry Amass. I think that's the best he's looked. I didn't think he was great against Rosenborg. I did think he was better against Rangers, a lot better. But I thought the Arsenal game was the best performance he's put in a first-team shirt. You can see the ball progressions coming from him. That's a massive strength that he's got in his game. He was really comfortable in possession. There was a tenacity about him, which was real nice to see. And I think even though there's a lot to develop on him physically, and in the defensive side, which just is experience, there's a lot of positives about Harry's game. I spoke to Harry a couple of times actually over the tour. And I did mention to him I didn't think he was good against Rosenborg, and he agreed. But I spoke to him tonight and said, that was good, and he said he felt strong, and he looked strong, didn't he? So a really good showing there from Harry Amass, and be interesting to see how and when he kicks on. And I mentioned to him, I think you've got an opportunity here, mate. You know, with the injuries and the situation being what it is with Luke Shaw and Malacia, there is a spot. You can take that spot. So I'd like to see him do that. You know, I mentioned on my review on the fan channel, at the moment, I'm not sure what his true potential is. Is he a permanent starter for Manchester United? I think we need to see more for that. But I think he's a useful player, and I don't think it'll do him any harm to sort of put himself in the shop window, and he might surprise everybody, including me, and go, no, actually I am a Premier League starter, and not only am I a Premier League starter, I'm a Manchester United starter as well. I think there's potential in there, but you know, you've got to see what you haven't seen so far with him. But I do like him. I think he's got a good attitude. I think he's got a bit of a bite to him, and I think he will get that opportunity because of the injury situation being what it is with the likes of Luke Shaw. Collier. Now, over the last week or so, Maxi Oyedele's one that's really shone for me. And I want to see more of him. I want to see him in 90 minutes. I want to see him tested and put on the back foot defensively. I'm trying to see how he copes on the transition. And I think he's got the potential to, or he's had the showing to make me go, I want to see more. Whereas Collier has not quite done what Mainu did. Mainu came out and went, this is me. You're now going to play me. Collier's not come in and hit that level. But he's come in and gone, I'll do you a job if you don't want to spend 30 mil on someone just to be a backup. Like, we've been looking and doing scout reports on backups that are going to come in, and like, if United sign a guy, that's a starter, right? So those ones like Topic maybe come in and not quite be a starter, they're not better than Collier, or what I'm seeing from Collier at least anyway. I think he's ready to play men's football. He covers the ground well. He's good with both feet. He's committed in the tackle. His pressing is nice. He's got the ability to drive with the ball. He looks a level above the other academy players that are playing. I think that's a good sign. I think this is another probable squad player. And while people are going, oh, where's your standards? At the end of the day, we burnt through some depth last year with the injuries. I don't think we can do that again this year. I think you have to have players that you can put in, you can trust. I think having a slightly bloated squad this year, especially with what I expect in terms of people that I think is going to go, I think it can happen. And then finally, point 5, the disappointments. There's players that are being lined up as sales that are playing like they deserve to go. Anthony was poor. Sancho was poor. McTominay, I think he's an honest lad, and I think he plays well, and he's a physical specimen, but I just think he's lacking the quality. The likes of Lindelof probably going to go. Like Harry Maguire probably going to go if there's a buyer out there for him. It just feels like there's so many people that just haven't hit the right required level. And watching the training session yesterday, whenever that is now, you get to see them up close, and you can't believe how sharp and how good and how perfect and flawless some of the first touches from these lads are. And then you get them on the football pitch and you go, you've got loads of time on the ball there, why can't you do this? And it just shows the levels, I think. The levels are ridiculous for players to be able to play for Manchester United, which is why it's so good that the youngsters are coming through and they're hitting the level that's required to be a first-team player at Manchester United. So you got to give them credit for that. But there's plenty of disappointments, I think, in that squad. And we've got to be better if we want to be packing Arsenal away in the league this season. But anyway, as you can probably hear in my voice, I'm really tired, so I'm going to go to bed. But cheers as always. And if you're in San Diego, we are at some fan event right before the game. So if you want to come and say hello, come and do that. Otherwise, don't, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.
Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.